Imagine waking up with a slight fever. By evening, painful black swellings begin appearing on your body. Within days, your skin darkens, your organs fail, and everyone around you is terrified to come near you. Now imagine this happening not to one person, but to millions. Entire villages vanish, cities fall silent, mass graves fill faster than they can be dug, and no one knows why. What if I told you that one tiny bacterium killed more people than many of history's greatest wars combined? And for centuries, people believed it was a punishment from God. This is the story of the Black Death. The pandemic so devastating that it wiped out nearly half of Europe and changed human history forever. The year was 1347. Europe was already struggling. Wars raged across kingdoms. Famine had weakened populations. Medical knowledge was primitive. Most people had no understanding of bacteria, viruses, or disease. When someone got sick, doctors often blamed bad air, evil spirits, or the position of the stars. Nobody was prepared for what was coming. The nightmare may have begun thousands of miles away in Central Asia. Historians believe the plague-causing bacterium, Yersinia pestis, lived among rodents in remote regions. Through trade routes connecting east and west, it slowly traveled across continents. And then came one of history's most chilling moments. In 1346, the Mongol army was besieging the port city of Kaffa, located near the Black Sea. During the siege, plague began spreading through the Mongol camp. Soldiers died by the thousands. And according to some historical accounts, the Mongols did something horrifying. They allegedly used catapults to launch plague-infected corpses over the city walls. Whether this was the first example of biological warfare remains debated. But one thing is certain. The plague entered the city, and from there, it boarded ships. Those ships would carry death across Europe. In October 1347, merchant vessels arrived in Sicily. The ships appeared normal from a distance. But when they reached port, something was terribly wrong. Many sailors were already dead. Others were covered in strange black boils. Some could barely stand. Witnesses described scenes so horrifying that authorities ordered the ships away. It didn't matter. The disease had already arrived. Like an invisible assassin, it spread from city to city. Messina, Genoa, Venice, Marseille, Paris, London. One by one, Europe fell. The plague moved faster than anyone could understand. People would appear healthy one day and be dead within a week. The symptoms were terrifying. Victims developed high fevers. Painful swollen lymph nodes called buboes appeared under the arms, neck, and groin. Dark patches spread across the skin. Many suffered internal bleeding. Some coughed blood. Others became delirious before dying. The mortality rate was staggering. In some areas, half the population disappeared. Imagine every second person you know suddenly gone. Parents buried children. Children buried parents. Sometimes entire families died together. There were so many deaths that normal life simply stopped. Fields went unharvested, markets closed, churches overflowed, and soon there weren't enough people left to bury the dead. Mass graves became common. Bodies piled up in streets. The smell of death filled entire cities. One chronicler wrote that people walked around as if they were already dead. Fear consumed everything. Neighbors avoided each other. Friends stopped visiting. Some parents abandoned sick children. Others stayed beside loved ones knowing they would likely die too. The plague didn't just kill bodies, it shattered trust. And then came the panic. Without understanding germs, people desperately searched for explanations. Many believed God was punishing humanity for its sins. Religious processions filled the streets. Groups called flagellants traveled across Europe, whipping themselves publicly in hopes of earning divine mercy. Others searched for scapegoats. Minority communities faced horrific persecution. False rumors spread. Innocent people were blamed for poisoning wells or causing the disease through supernatural means. Fear transformed ordinary people into mobs. And while the plague itself was terrifying, human behavior sometimes became just as frightening. Yet amid the chaos, some individuals showed extraordinary courage. Doctors continued treating patients despite enormous risks. Priests comforted the dying. Family members cared for loved ones even when it almost guaranteed infection. Many of these people knew they would probably die. They helped anyway. But the doctors faced an impossible challenge. Medicine in the 14th century was based on theories we now know were completely wrong. Some physicians prescribed bloodletting. Others recommended strange herbal mixtures. Some believed carrying flowers could ward off disease. The famous plague doctor outfit with the bird-like mask eventually became a symbol of these desperate efforts. The mask contained aromatic herbs meant to filter out what people believed was poisonous air. The outfit looked almost supernatural, like something from a nightmare. Ironically, it may have provided a small amount of protection, not because of the herbs, but because the clothing created a barrier between doctors and infected patients. Still, most treatments were useless. Nothing could stop the plague. By 1348, Europe was in full collapse. Entire monasteries vanished. Trade networks broke down. Governments struggled to function. Some towns lost so many people that records simply stopped. Imagine opening a history book and finding pages missing because there was nobody left alive to write them. That was the scale of destruction. And yet somehow humanity survived. Over several years, the plague gradually slowed. By the early 1350s, the worst wave had passed. But Europe would never be the same. Historians estimate that between 25 and 50 million people died. Some regions lost more than 60% of their population. The exact numbers remain uncertain because record-keeping collapsed in many places. Even today, researchers debate the true death toll. But here's where the story takes an unexpected twist. The Black Death didn't just destroy Europe, it transformed it. With so many workers dead, labor suddenly became valuable. Survivors could demand higher wages. Peasants gained bargaining power. Old social systems began cracking. The feudal order that had dominated Europe for centuries started weakening. Some historians argue that the Black Death indirectly helped pave the way for major social changes, economic growth, and eventually even the Renaissance. Think about that. One of humanity's greatest disasters may have also helped reshape the modern world. But the mysteries don't end there. For centuries, historians argued about what exactly caused the Black Death. Today, most scientists agree that Yersinia pestis played a central role. Yet questions remain. Why did it spread so efficiently? Were rats solely responsible? Did human fleas and lice play a bigger role than previously believed? Could multiple diseases have been spreading simultaneously? Researchers continue debating aspects of the pandemic even now. And perhaps the most unsettling mystery is how vulnerable humanity remains. The Black Death occurred nearly 700 years ago. We have advanced medicine, modern science, antibiotics, and global health systems. Yet recent pandemics have reminded us how quickly disease can disrupt society. Supply chains fail. Fear spreads. Rumors multiply. Communities struggle. The technology changes. Human nature doesn't. That's why the story of the Black Death still feels so haunting. It wasn't just a disease, it was a mirror. It revealed humanity at its best and worst. Compassion and cruelty, courage and fear, sacrifice and selfishness. And perhaps the most chilling realization is this. The people of 1347 didn't know they were living through one of history's greatest catastrophes. At first, it was just a few strange deaths, a few rumors, a few ships arriving in port. Then suddenly, half a continent was gone. Which raises a question that feels just as relevant today as it did centuries ago. If another catastrophe of that scale began tomorrow, would we recognize the warning signs before it was too late? If this video kept you hooked, there's plenty more coming. Like, share, and subscribe to Your Highness for more stories, mysteries, and untold truths.